Confidence is something Diane Metzler has learned to develop.
I think that would stop the threat.
She is part of a growing number of legal gun owners taking the responsibility for their own safety, choosing to apply for a carry and conceal weapons permit, or CCW.
I think it's a personal choice. You are taken, it upon yourself to protect yourself, your family, and it's a decision that you need to be confident in.
In most counties in our area, the process to get a CCW can take some time, but in Sacramento County, it is a different story.
When a new sheriff came to town 6 years ago, he promised to make the CCW process much easier, and so far, he has succeeded.
You think more people should carry?
Yes.
Sheriff Scott Jones does not apologize for arming citizens in public.
They face the same dangers as I do. They still have the same desire to protect their family.
Since August of 2011, the number of concealed weapon permits in Sacramento County soared from 887 to 7,478 in January of this year.
The flavor of this country has changed over the last year or two. And it's not so much about being a victim of a mugging or being able to get money out of the ATM safely at night now. Now you have a very real threat of terrorism.
From Aurora to Sandy Hook and even San Bernardino.
This was just me making sense out of the last 3 years, which really turned life upside down.
Dr. Garen Wintemute is a researcher and expert on gun violence. He is also an emergency room doctor at UC Davis Medical Center. His simple chart reflects a not-so-simple time in our country.
This is San Bernardino, of course.
Yep.
Is the thinking that we're going to have more?
Yes.
It is.
I wish I could say otherwise. There's no doubt in my mind, but that there will be more.
Giving people a sense of fear, but the fear is more perception than reality.
Mass shootings, they're uncommon. They account for less than 1% of all firearm deaths in the United States. But mass shootings have the potential of changing the character of American public life.
And change is exactly what is happening to the makeup of Sacramento County under Sheriff Scott Jones, where 90% of all concealed weapon permit applications get his stamp of approval.
I'd like to see it a little higher.
California is a May-issue state, which means when it comes to CCWs, much like the old Wild West, the sheriff gets to decide. Some are stingy, like in San Francisco County, that only has one CCW, just over 1,000 in LA County, 7,500 here in Sacramento County, and that number is rising.
And with the county on track to become #1 in the state, the concern is Sacramento County also leads the state in another category, revocations. Our investigation found 101 revocations in the last 2 years alone. And while permits were not taken away because the gun was misused, permit holders lost their privilege for things like bringing a weapon into the airport, to DUIs, to child abuse, and drug charges.
I'm quick to give them, I'm quick to take them away.
There is no question the overwhelming majority of people seeking a CCW are responsible gun owners, but our ABC10 investigation found 2 frightening cases.
In November of 2014, just across the street from the state capitol at the Hyatt, police detained a man with a license to carry. According to the police report, a hotel worker entered his room and found hundreds of rounds and boxes of various caliber ammunition. Police say he expressed animosity toward the government. He also bragged about his skills with a rifle, saying he could shoot it at 200 yards, accurately placing rounds within a 3-inch grouping. He was placed on what is called a 5150 psychiatric hold. His license to carry was revoked. And then in November of 2011, a traffic stop turned deadly when 68-year-old concealed weapons permit holder Richard Bisbee shot a CHP officer. He was eventually killed by Elk Grove police. The gun used by Bisbee was not the one he was licensed to carry, and the permit was issued before Jones took office.
The reality is he has been a holder of a CCW in at least 2 other counties for over 2 decades. There were no red flags, there were no convictions that would preclude him from possessing a concealed weapons permit.
Is it a perfect system? Well, I hope so, but probably not, because it's a human system. If we do have a failure, that'll be weighty. That'll be on that side of the balance scale, but man, I've given 7,500 or 8,000 people the ability to protect themselves. And guess what? So far, again, knocking on wood, nobody's abused that privilege.
Dr. Garen Wintemute calls Sheriff Jones' prolific permit granting a kind of a county-wide experiment.
When we raise or lower the drinking age, when we raise or lower the speed limit, when we make any sort of change, that's all an experiment. As a scientist, I'm interested in knowing whether that has turned out to be a bad thing or a good thing for the public safety of Sacramento.
For Diane Metzler, it's more about her personal safety and the safety of her family.
It is a different world, and you never know when that threat might approach you.
In Sacramento County, Ryan Yamamoto, ABC 10 News.